earlier this week, they announced down in Dallas and Austin that the school districts were saying, "F the governor, we're just gonna do what we need to do to protect kids."
I'm in sync. We don't want to kill our kids.
We don't want to kill our kids. Don't want to endanger our families, and we want to keep our schools open because it's really important for kids. So we're just going to implement basic precautions. Well, a day or two ago, Chris Brewster, the superintendent of Santa Fe South, which is probably one of the largest, other than Epic, charter schools in the state, said, "I'm defying the mask ban." So he did that. Oklahoma City followed suit the next day. They will defy state law and mandate masks as well. And what is the reaction today? And I'm not going to be able to pull it up, but I just have it pulled up on the other thing is Governor Stitt puts out a statement, and Carly, his mouthpiece, says, but because they allowed some religious exemption or something, that now it's okay. So because there was some exemption to it, we're going to allow it. I mean, which is their way of just trying to save face. But also just their way, it's such a grotesque cop-out because, of course, all these other districts that either don't have the political will or the courage to just defy state law aren't going to mandate masks, and nobody's going to wear them, and we're going to see more cases because of it. So it's just the bar. I mean, one, it's they have to maintain this sort of massive intellectual dishonesty, but then the bar is set so low on what they hold themselves to, their responsibility to anyone else. I mean, it's just, I really do wonder, sometimes how they sleep at night. I mean, other than just the power and whatever they think they're getting from all this.
S'mores.
The s'mores.
While motherfuckers die in the streets. No, okay, so someone has to take responsibility. Right? When you have things, especially like a murderous global pandemic, someone has to take responsibility. And that's what you would look at governor for. It's not supposed to be superintendents trying to decide, okay, I'm going to deal with I don't have to deal with these 4 or 5 nut job parents who say mask cut off energy to my kid's brain or some whatever dumb shit, or the anti-vaxxers or whatever. You have to have leadership. And that leadership has to have one goal that we can all agree on. We don't want children to die. We don't want teachers to die, right? We want, and after that, okay, now we want them in schools. No one is disputing that we would rather have children in schools, right? That is not, well, I shouldn't say no, most people are not in dispute about that. So if that's the case, someone has to be a leader and says, how can we best accomplish these goals? And it can't be superintendents because that's an individual level, right? If Santa Fe is shots out to Santa Fe, shots to Oklahoma City, but other school districts, they need some guidance, they need some cover, and that's where it says, listen, this is the safest way to do it. The governor says we have to do it, and this is what we're doing, right?
Basic leadership.
You have to have, and again, I'm not asking you to be fucking Lyndon Johnson in the Civil Rights Act. This is not what we're saying. We're saying this is at 1 + 1 = 2. Masks save lives. We want kids in school, have more masks, and they'll be in school. Right? This is not right. This is not the fucking FDR and trying to pass the New Deal. This is not what we're asking you to do here. And we can't even fucking get that.
Well, and to add to that, I shared this on Twitter, but I'll pull it up. I mean, Dave Weigel, one of the best follows, he's the Washington Post political reporter. Great, just all around seeming decent, smart guy. Shared this Fox News poll that says 54% of people say schools should be able to require masks or vaccine proof, while the percentage saying full in-person schooling as usual should return is tumbled from 51% to 36%. What that means is, as shit changes, people change their minds. So in June and May and July or whenever, early July, when cases were way down, people were just send them back. It'll be fine. Now that cases are surging, they're maybe we need to reevaluate this. And what I think is important about polls like this is when you say 54% of people say that, I think you can, that means a lot of people in Oklahoma believe that too. It's not just because this is a national poll. I mean, I don't know where the N was on there. I don't know if I looked it up. But this is a big poll. And what it means in Oklahoma is that your Oklahoma Cities, your Tulsas, and your Normans are actually probably more intensely in favor of masking and vaccine requirements, and your rural areas obviously are way less. But to get to 54%, and of that 54%, there was like the should not is only 31. So it's like the oppose is actually pretty low, and depends, which would mean somewhere in the middle, is another 13. So I mean, what I'm saying is you have high support, especially in like democratically heavy areas, since obviously the whole idea of masking and vaccines is massively partisanly polarized. But you have significant support amongst many constituencies in this state, and even pretty wide support in probably conservative areas. I mean, there's probably still a third of people in very conservative areas that are like, we should definitely be doing this. And then there's, some intense part opposed. But what I'm saying is there's broad popular support for this stuff. Like, and there has been. I mean, this has been the entire pandemic. And then the last point I wanted to make was this Ryan Cooper article in The Week, the case against anti-vax coddling. I didn't read every bit of it, but like the general thing is that we actually shouldn't give in to these people. I think he's making more of the liberal argument of like, we're sick of their shit. But I also think it's bad in the sense that like, so you've got like, if you break the population to like three groups, like there's the group that's like, we should fight COVID. That's like the majority of us.
The motherfuckers who ain't trying to die or kill nobody else.
Right. That's the overwhelming majority of Americans. Like we would be fine. We would probably even be fine with lockdowns if they were targeted, specific, well done, supported. We'd be in favor of the most stringent COVID restrictions if the goal is to fight the virus and get the caseloads way down. So that's the majority of us. Then there's this group in the middle who is like, anti-vax propaganda, like too much Fox News, don't understand what's going on. And then there's this small, very obnoxious group of like 20% that are just sociopaths, and just like they'll literally give someone COVID to watch them die if they're a liberal. Like, they have just bought so far into the culture war that they don't know, fake from reality.
Basic empathy.
Yeah, they don't know basic empathy. They've lost all. But that means like there's like, a good 70-80% of people that like are pretty reasonable, and if you just like either nudge them or give them access, will do the right thing. Like if at the front of every building you're handing out masks, or you have a little mask thing, just like the wipes on your cart at Target, like they'll take one. Like they're not interested in fighting about it. They may not understand the science, they may not believe it all, but they'll just go along to get along. And that will reduce the number of cases. Like, that will make things better. So, like, my deal is vaccine mandates, passports, all that shit, including access. I mean, I think the access keeps getting lost. I get very frustrated, with schools and stuff. They're not doing pop-up vaccine clinics and, block parties and whatever else to encourage, like, hey, we're going to have a back-to-school fun thing. There's going to be a vaccine cart and a doctor. You should just go ahead and get your vaccine right now while you're here having a good time. Like, I wish we were doing more of that sort of stuff to increase access. But people would follow if you just made the rules really hard and really specific and say, if you want to do X, Y, and Z, you got to get a vaccine. And like there was data out of Lollapalooza. 385,000 people attended Lollapalooza in Chicago, and they have identified 200 COVID cases related to it because 90% of people showed the required vaccine card, and 10% had to show a negative PCR test before they could get in. 300,000 people went to a rock and roll concert and, followed those rules, and you had virtually no COVID. It just shows it can be done, and it's fine. And we should do it and stop coddling these people. And if they want to show up at meetings and scream and threaten and wave their damn signs, hell, if they want to show up in Oklahoma and try to shut down meetings, you can have their ass arrested. Like, that is a state law that they wanted to use against Black Lives Matter and left-leaning protesters, but you can probably use it against them too.
So, first and foremost, the accessibility issue. Like when you passing out masks in front of stores, we need to make access to vaccine that easy. And it's really a failure of the Democratic Party to not put in the last COVID bill like massive accessibility. Like, it was this idea of, well, we just put the shit at Walmart and Target, motherfuckers will go get it. But it wasn't a consideration of paid time off, childcare, things we're supposed to care about. And frankly, this could have been an opportunity for us to like play with that a little bit, right? To like give out like vaccination and kind of prop up like the childcare industry, right? So like give like vaccination childcare vouchers. Like you find some childcare, we're gonna pay for it, go get your vaccination, whatever the case may be, right? Or paying businesses, incentivizing them through taxes or whatever the fuck you want to do. Like give people time off to go get vaccine and we're gonna cover that, right? So that sort of thing. Okay. So accessibility. And this is, I read every word of that article. The animating principle for us as progressives is that we respect, value, and appreciate everyone's humanity. We don't give a fuck about your gender. We don't give a fuck about your race. We don't give a fuck about your age. You are a human being, and we appreciate that. And there are certain things you just should have as a human being access to, and we believe that to our core. And so, knowing that we see the humanity in everybody, an element of that is extending grace, right? If you have an issue with substance abuse, we believe we should help you with that substance abuse and not sit you in a cage for 30 years because we believe in your humanity, right? Those are the types of things. Grace. We extend grace to people. We extend grace to our enemies, the dickheads. We extend grace to Kevin Stitt and the like. I can tell you now, just being 100% open and honest, it is so fucking hard for me and I'm like somewhere fucking left of Trotsky, politically, and I'm pretty fucking progressive, to extend grace to the dickheads. I'm just being like, I struggle with that. It's just like, bro, like, because we had this battle that did not care if you were progressive or conservative, did not care if you were your gender, did not care your race, did not care your economic status. What it cared about was killing, and that's COVID-19. And so we had this common enemy. And the overwhelming majority of us did what the fuck we had to do, right? I tell that story about my grandfather enlisting in World War II, lying about his age in spite of being born in Paris, Texas in the 1920s, where they had fucking hung or lynched a World War I veteran a few years before he was my grandfather was born. So it wasn't no secret how he felt about him, but he wouldn't fall for his country any fucking way. What we did was nowhere near approaching that. What we did was some fucking sacrifices, right? What we did was so many of us, we didn't see our grandmothers. We didn't go out. We wore masks when we did. We got vaccines. So many of us made sacrifices we were supposed to make. And a small group of dickheads are just ruining it. Not just you can't see your grandma, but let's be honest about this. The United States has an obligation to the rest of the world. And we're not filling that out because we want to hoard vaccines in hopes that, you know, Tommy the dickhead will finally take it. And so we can't send it to places that are in need of it. Right. And so we're killing not only each other, we're killing the rest of the fucking world because of a few conservative dickheads. And it's so difficult to fucking extend grace. I like, bro, the fuck? Like you said, you're a fucking sociopath. This is I try to extend grace, and I feel like most of us do, about your dickhead policies that kill people slowly, right? You're anti-climate, you're fucking criminal legal system, like all of these things. You're defund of all of the most basic services that kill human beings slowly because you don't see their humanity. We extend grace to try to give you some space to, you know, maybe find your way back. But now you're just like, no, fuck it, I'll kill you today. Right? Like, and it's difficult to extend grace to that. And so listen, man, I don't know. I'm just at this point, this is one of my tangents. I don't fucking know. But I can tell you, I just like, it's difficult for me to just not kind of go back into Hugo and just like, I brought this punch in your face because you just spewing bullshit and I can't see my grandmama because you like, I don't fucking know. But that being said, fuck them is what I have to say. Like this whole like, well, guys, you know, you don't want to be too hard or you want no. If you have accessibility issues, I have all the grace in the world for you because as I eat it, exactly. Like America has never made anything fucking easy for poor people. Why would this vaccine be any fucking different? So like, yeah, like I have all the grace in the world for you. Accessibility issues. You're a mom, you have children, you have, you know, you get time
Yeah.
off work, whatever the case, and be all grace in the world for you. If you just like, fuck it, I'm gonna let motherfuckers die. Like, hey, fam, you know, fuck them. We shouldn't be coddling them. We should be castigating them every fucking chance we get.